So, as you see the topic and the time given to me, 15 minutes, I have to be actually ultra fast. This is interesting topic because now we are in the era of, very fast dynamic life, rather ultra fast life. We need a similar kind of insulin to take care of us. We don't have time to eat. You have got a quick meals, quick rise in blood sugar. You need a quick remedy to bring it back. And that's why we need this kind of insulin right now in treating diabetes. Why we need, Dr. Ajay Kumar talked in length about why India needs such kind of insulin. What's the reality of postprandial control? These are my agendas. So let's take one by one why we need it. And there is sufficient data which suggests that we are different from the white populations or Caucasians in terms of the kind of prandial excursions, the kind of glucose absorption. We do have data which suggests that with the same meal into an Indian or in a white people, there is a different kind of glucose excursion and the blood sugar level. As we all know, with every meal we have got a postprandial spikes. These PP excursions is often exaggerated in diabetes, as you can see, and it is longer. So naturally, we are already having the problems in diabetes compounded by the kind of PPG excursion which happens to the Indian, primarily because our diet is completely different and it is predominantly carbohydrate, as Dr. Ajay Kumar shown in the START study. Almost 65% of meal consists of carbohydrate across the country. I had a feeling that North Indian people take less starch compared to South Indian or from East India, but the data is something completely mesmerizing. Almost everywhere in the India, more than 65% of diet contributes by carbohydrate. So naturally, we need to take care of this part as well. And also to remember that apart from 3 large meals which we take as a breakfast, lunch and dinner, we always do a frequent snackings. And if you actually see the real fasting period in a 24-hour time, hardly we are 4 hours in a fasting state, rest 20 hours, in an entire day cycle, we are either in a postprandial state or a post-absorptive state. So somewhere 20 hours in the 24-hour, we are in a post-absorptive and postprandial state. So we need a drug which will take care of this postprandial increase in blood sugar. So I've been given one question to ask to all of you. There is no audience poll here, so I just, by hand raising, I will ask, what is the time at which the glucose excursion reach peak after the Indian meals? What is your suggestion? How many of you is for 30 minutes after food? Right, 4, 5. How many of you 1 hour after food? Oh, it's a lot. 1.5 hour after food. Okay, same as of 30 minutes and 2 hour after food. No one, 2 hour after food. So it looks like that in general, this house consisting of almost 400 audience here, I believe that everyone believes that the maximum rise in blood glucose happens 1 hour after the food. So then you need also a drug which will take care of 1 hour blood glucose control. That's the point. And you can see here, this is a study where Indian diabetic patients were given a different kind of meal and the glucose excursion were recorded. You can see in whatever kind of diet you take, the PP excursions are highest somewhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour. As you can see from the color-coded graph, the blue, dark blue is 30 minutes, the red one is 60 minutes. So all of you are correct that it starts by 30 minutes and peaking at 1 hour, and then it's come down by 1.5. And basically at 2 hour, it is larger than the first 30 minutes. So we need tools to correct this excursion in the PP, which is primarily happening 1 hour after the meal. And no wonder, if you see the guidelines across the world, they also recommend, as we do conventionally, that you do go for 2 hour postprandial blood glucose. It looks like in future time we might shift from 2 hour to maybe 1 hour or 1.5 hour, or even at 45 minutes to understand the real glucose excursion in those parts of world where people consumes carbohydrate predominantly. And no wonder ADHD, that's why suggested that when you are checking the blood sugar after the meal, it should be somewhere between 1 to 2 hours. Similarly, IDF also take note of this and suggested to check 1 to 2 hours meal prandial glucose for diabetic patients. Well then, so where is the tool? What we need to correct this 1 hour? If you look into the insulin's portfolio, we already had faster acting insulin earlier in the form of insulin Lispro, the SPART insulin, and insulin glulicin. The insulin SPART was faster than Lispro, and glulicin was even faster than insulin SPART. Now we are in the era of ultra fast acting. So it's faster than the faster acting insulin, which is called ultra fast acting insulin, which is my talk today. So if you compare the newer ultra fast acting insulin with the already existing faster acting insulin, the limitations with faster acting insulins were that they actually were having little latent time of more than 10 minutes, and it was almost 1 hour required to achieve a maximum plasma concentration. So therefore, we need, if you are actually planning to control 1 hour PP blood sugar, you need even a faster acting than the fast acting insulins. And that's why we landed with ultra fast acting insulin. So this faster acting is not fast enough. And that basically led to finding newer formulations, which is ultra fast insulin. So this is a physiological insulin secretions after a typical meal. You can see, and when you inject a regular human insulin, it is nowhere closer to the ideal insulin release after a typical meal. So regular human insulin lacks a lot when you are comparing with normal physiological insulin rise after a meal. When you are talking about the rapid acting insulin, it's pretty close to the physiological insulin release, but it is not exactly mimicking the normal physiological insulin release after the meal. When you are talking about ultra fast, it has again become more closer to the normal physiological. You can see the entire axis is shifting towards left. So to make a faster acting insulin, you need to shift this axis towards the left. To make a longer acting insulin, you need to shift the axis towards the right. And that's why this is an era where we are trying to shift to the left. I'm not talking about the left party, I'm talking about the pharmacological left shifting, which means we are trying to mimic as close as normal physiological insulin release. And in search of mimicking the normal physiology, we have come up with newer ultra fast acting insulin, which has got very closer PK/PD profile of normal human insulin release in diabetic patients. So this is how this faster, ultra fast acting insulin, and we are talking about the faster acting SPART here, which is FIASP. This is, you can see, this is a rapid acting insulin SPART. It has been modified in a fashion that absorption becomes much quicker. They have got absorption modifier in the form of vitamin B3, which is niacinamide, and they have also been added with L-arginine to make it a more stable compound. And these technological advancement and changes in the faster acting insulin SPART has led to the discovery of ultra fast acting insulin. And if you see this cartoon to understand what happens normally, you can see the difference between human insulin, the faster acting insulin, that is insulin SPART, and ultra fast acting insulin. You can see the normal hexamer is fast getting converted into the monomers very rapidly with the faster acting insulin. Please remember, the insulin has to be converted into monomer to act actually. So all hexamers has to fastly get dissolved to work fast. And that's the entire essence of this ultra fast acting insulin, the physiological mechanism. I have purposefully deleted the pharmacokinetic and dynamic data, which looks a little clumsy in a 15-minute talk, and just tried to summarize what happened in their PK/PD studies when they compared with the faster acting insulin. Clearly, they could see that it is faster than the faster acting insulin. There is a greater early and maximal insulin exposure, and throughout there is a similar total exposure. In terms of pharmacodynamics, there is greater early glucose lowering effect and similar total and maximal glucose lowering effect with these ultra faster acting insulin. So that was in the phase 1 and phase 2 trials. So naturally we waited upon the phase 3 clinical trials with this ultra fast acting insulin. So let's look into the evidence which we gathered over last year with this ultra-fast-acting insulin, which is FIASP. So earlier we do have some data which suggested that if you actually develop a faster-acting insulin, as you can see, this is, we are comparing human insulin to the faster-acting aspart. You can see the area under the curve is 38% lowered, and when you changed from the faster-acting aspart to the ultra-fast-acting insulin, we further reduced the glucose by 74% in this pharmacokinetic data. In terms of glucose control, so we will go to those two studies, but this is a summary slide to suggest that in type 1 diabetes, there was even a better HbA1c lowering with ultra-fast-acting insulin compared to the faster insulin aspart. So we have got two trials. On the left-hand side is the trial called ONSET-1. This was conducted in type 1 diabetes. Remember, this is phase 3 treat-to-target studies where they tried to look for the different kind of glucose excursion, mainly at 1 hour and 2 hour. And you can see in type 1 diabetes, despite this is a treat-to-target trial, there was 0.1% better lowering of HbA1c with ultra-fast-acting insulin, which is FIASP, compared to the conventional aspart. You can see also the 1 hour and 2 hour blood glucose. I will show you in the next slide. In type 2 diabetic patients, when they compared the faster acting and ultra fast acting insulin, there was no difference in the HbA1c control at the end of the trial in this 26 weeks head-on trial. But when you look into the 1 hour and 2 hour blood glucose profile, that was, this insulin was to made for to reduce the 1 hour and 2 hour peaking compared to the previously available faster acting insulin. So when they compared this ultra fast acting aspart to the conventional faster acting aspart, in type 1 diabetes you can notice that there is a significant reduction both at 1 hour and 2 hour. But in type 2 diabetic patient, this benefit only existed at 1 hour, not at 2 hour. So that was this two head-to-head study which was conducted with ultra fast acting aspart, which is FIASP, compared to the faster acting, that is the conventional aspart. So this two head-to-head trial suggested that in type 1 diabetes, there was both 1 hour and 2 hour as well as HbA1c better lowering with FIASP compared to aspart. But in type 1 diabetes, the 2 hours blood glucose HbA1c was similar, but the 1 hour glucose was significantly lowered with FIASP compared to conventional aspart. We do have one trial called ONSET-9. This is a trial conducted in patients with type 2 diabetes. This is second trial after the ONSET-2. This trial is different from the ONSET-2, that here the loading meal was given to understand this glucose excursion difference between two insulin. And remember that in ONSET-2, it was done in a background of detamir. So it was a basal bolus trial where detamir was used as a basal insulin. And this is a trial where the degludec was used as a basal insulin and the faster acting aspart FIASP was used as a bolus insulin. And if you see this trial, this is a 16 weeks type 2 diabetic trial. There is a significant reduction in the 1 hour and 2 hour postprandial blood glucose in the next slide, because it's a treat to target trial, so non-inferiority was confirmed. There's no difference in HbA1c. There's a slight, trend numerical benefit, but then that didn't translate into statistical benefit. But if you compare 1 hour and 2 hour glucose load, you can see clearly at 1 hour there is a significant benefit. And basically this is suggesting that if you compare ONSET-2 with ONSET-9, in type 2 diabetic patients, the benefit which we saw in the ONSET-1 in type 1 diabetes is no longer existing. But when you are really try to learn the insulin PK, PD as well as therapeutics, you need to do the trial in type 1 diabetic. The type 2 diabetic patients doesn't have zero insulin. They do have some endogenous insulin. So ideally, when you are trying to learn about insulin, you need to conduct in a type 1 diabetes. And that's what in the ONSET-1, the benefit happened in both 1 and 2 hour. In terms of hypoglycemia, there was no difference in hypoglycemia in the ONSET-1 and 2, but then in ONSET-9 there was, you can see there was significant benefit in hypoglycemia outcome, especially during 2 to 3 hours. You can see there was relatively less hypoglycemia with the FIASP compared to conventional aspart. And this is the first trial which suggested this hypoglycemia benefit with regards to the Fiasp compared to conventional aspart. So in summary, when you are talking about this trial, onset 1, 2, and onset 9, we learned that this insulin has a potential to reduce plasma glucose at 1 hour better than the conventional insulin, faster acting aspart. And in type 1 diabetes, there was both 1 hour and 2 hour reduction with Fiasp compared to the aspart. Flexibility, that you can use it even after the meal. We do have trial where this Fiasp was injected 20 minutes after the meal. And there was, good glucose control, although it was inferior compared to the faster acting aspart. So you do have options. It's not a great, indication to use 20 minutes after the meal, but then you do have, the possibility in case you miss the insulin injections prior to your meal. I would just like to finish by showing you, because the topic is ultra-fast acting insulin. There is a new insulin coming. This is ultra-rapid acting insulin, Lispro. It's called URL. It's not Universal Resource Locator of Computer. This is ultra-rapid acting Lispro called EARLY. And they did the trial and compared with Fiasp as well. And somehow it looks pretty similar to the Fiasp. In fact, if you see this phase 1 study conducted in type 1 diabetes, it looks even faster than the Fiasp. So this is another insulin pipeline by Eli Lilly. And recently they have conducted 2 trials which was presented at last ADA in San Francisco. You can see this is called Pronto type 1 diabetes. So more than 1,000 patient, 26 weeks trials compared, the ultra-rapid acting Lispro to the conventional Lispro. And again, they find a significant reduction in 1 hour and 2 hour postprandial glucose excursion, exactly like what we saw with the Fiasp in onset 1. And there's no difference in hypoglycemia with this insulin as well. Another study which was conducted in type 2 diabetes is called Pronto type 2 diabetes study. Again, this was presented. It is not still published and not available in public domain. It was just presented at ADA in San Francisco. Again, in type 2 diabetes, there was a significant lowering of 1 hour and 2 hour post-glucose with this ultra-fast-acting Lispro compared to conventional Lispro. They also have got one study, CGM, time in range study. You can compare here the early giving you a much flatter glucose profile compared to the conventional Lispro or the conventional Humalog. So that's from my side on the ultra-fast acting insulin. Thank you very much for your patience, Lisa.